Kenya, the early 1950s. A land of rolling hills, vast savannas and fertile highlands. Yet beneath this beauty, injustice thrived. The British had claimed the best lands for settlers, pushing the Kikuyu, Embu, and Meru people into crowded reserves. Families who had lived on this land for generations were forced to watch as their homes were taken, their livelihoods destroyed. Anger simmered, voices were silenced, political petitions were ignored, and then, from the forests of Mount Kenya and the Abadares, a movement was born, the Mau Mau. The Mau Mau were not a conventional army. They were men and women bound by a sacred oath, pledging loyalty to each other and to the fight for freedom. Their mission was clear: reclaim stolen land, end colonial oppression, and restore dignity to their people. Life in the forests was brutal. Hunger was constant, disease rampant, and colonial forces were relentless. Yet, Mau Mau fighters, led by figures like Dedan Kimathi, pressed on. They used guerrilla tactics, ambushing patrols, sabotaging outposts, and striking fear into colonial authorities. Every day was a fight for survival, but for them, freedom was worth every risk. The British responded with overwhelming force. In 1952, a state of emergency was declared. Over 1 million Kenyans were detained, tortured, and forced into camps. Villages were burned, and anyone suspected of supporting the Mau Mau faced brutal punishment. Leaders like Jomo Kenyatta were arrested, accused of orchestrating the rebellion, though he denied direct involvement. Despite the terror, the Mau Mau continued to resist. Dedan Kimathi became a legend, a symbol of defiance, but in 1956, he was captured and later executed. The movement was weakened but not defeated. Its spirit had already planted the seeds of a greater revolution. By the late 1950s, the armed uprising had largely been crushed. Yet the rebellion had achieved something far greater than military victory. It exposed the cruelty of colonial rule, forced Britain to rethink its policies, and inspired a generation of Kenyans to fight for independence. In 1963, Kenya finally gained independence. The land that had been stolen was slowly returned. The people who had fought in the forests of Mount Kenya were finally recognized, not as terrorists, but as heroes who dared to stand against oppression. Today, the Mau Mau Uprising is remembered as a pivotal chapter in Kenya's history. It was a story of courage, sacrifice, and an unbreakable spirit. It reminds us that freedom is never free, and that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary change when they dare to rise. This was the story of the Mau Mau Uprising, Kenya's fight for freedom.